Welcome to the MC Report, episode 6.7. We're in between 6 and 7, and the only reason this exists is because Aaden wanted to predict the games this week. He was not here on Monday as he waves at the camera. So we're going to take a look between the games between Monday and Friday, and also Aaden gets to predict. But one new thing I am going to integrate is our records. Last week, obviously, we did predict games. I do have a 4-game lead. Neither of us necessarily did well. I'm barely above 500. Aaden is below 500. So we're going to see at the end of the year, which is all the way in like May or something. I don't know what we're going to predict then. We may just baseball probably. Yeah, but, just certain stuff. But as of right now, this is the records for each sport. Who's leading all that. Aaden sucks because he didn't pick Boise. Anyway, we're going to move on here. It is going to be a lot shorter because I'm not going through every game like I did last week. So only about 30 slides. I will be short and quick with mine because I already did mine last week. First one, I picked Navy. I'm sticking with Navy. They're a better team. I feel like that's the only really way to put it. Army's more of a running team. And obviously, technically, they do have more rushing yards than Navy. But considering the fact it isn't by much, and Navy has I think that's almost 900 or 800 yards more passing, I think that it's really not going to mean much. So Navy, I think, gets the win, I think, pretty comfortably. This has changed. I did not update the slides, so this is probably a bigger number. But if it is still at 6 points, I would smash this bet. So we're going to give it over to Aaden. Let's see what he's got for Army-Navy.
This is one of the best rivalries whenever it comes to college football, in my opinion. Kolstin hates on it a little too much, in my opinion. But this one, it's going to be all midshipmen in this one. I think Navy's going to dominate this one. They've battled through a very tough conference and just missed out. They went 7-1 in conference play, tying with Tulane in North Texas, which made the AAC championship game. Army struggled all year. They're 6-5. They're barely in a bowl game. Give me Navy, and I think by a pretty considerable margin. Third time's a charm.
Aaden had to fidget there. We're going to head on. He's going to stay on the slide. We only have 2 college, football games because next week we're going to have a bazillion because college football playoff and bowl games. But and winter break, obviously. But that we're not going to predict. Maybe we will. I don't know. But Boise, Washington, if you saw last time, I'm taking Boise. This is also just slight bias, but I do think as of right now with Maddox back, we are a better team than Washington. I think the only thing Washington has on us is they have a good run offense. That's about it. So this is blasphemy, 8.5. I think, honestly, we should be favored because opening the spread was the exact same. So I don't know how that's 8.5. But we are going to send over Aaden. You don't need to hear my bias. Let's hear from Aaden.
All right, Kolstin, first off, you don't know the sports market because that's how much money you put if you win $100. This is what the odds were heading in. That's what you should be looking for, the money line. But nonetheless, that's your sports gambling advice for the day. I'm making a mess on the whiteboard. Anyway, yes, Boise State's 9-4. They're Mountain West champions, but there's a difference whenever it comes to an 8-4 Mountain West team and an 8-4 Big Ten team. This team played a lot of good teams very closely. They were ranked at one point. I think Boise State's already had their bowl game, if that makes sense. I think they're more focused on the Mountain West championship more than this game. This game's been moved from what I've heard from Kolstin. He's my Boise State source. This game's on the 18th now. But, I really like Washington. I think they have a very good offense. I think their defense, if it plays up to what it should, I think Boise State will struggle a little. I think it's going to be a close game, don't get me wrong, but give me the Huskies from Washington to win the – what bowl is this, Kolstin?
This is the LA Bowl. So I forgot it was on the 18th, or else this technically would not be here. It's fine. I get to show my Boise bias. But this apparently, I don't know if this is right technically. Right now, it has the ABC slot late. I don't think that's going to stand, but I would love that because Boise has gotten one game that's not on ESPN Plus, and that's it. So, we're just going to head on. We do get to talk about my Chargers winning. I was very happy about this. I don't think I've ever been so stressed in a game in my entire life. I thought when Herbert went to run during the end of the game, because he ran 7 times, I thought his hand was just going to fall off his body. I'm not going to lie, because he was stiff-arming people. Neither team, I think, played good. I just think the Chargers played less bad. And also, the 5 turnovers in 11 plays. Yes, you can, but I'm not very. I am, happy that we won. Obviously, I don't think this means anything. You'll see Chiefs Chargers who I pick. Aaden will get to see. You guys already know. I'm not changing it. There is one pick I am going to change. It's not that one. So we'll see what happens. Philly's 8-5. I think there's a legitimate chance Philly loses this division because Dallas is on the rise. Philly's on the fall. But Aaden wants some words. Let's see what he's got from an OT game.
An overtime game. This was a great game to watch, by the way. Actually, it wasn't. This game was terrible. And I'm going to give it one reason. Jalen Hurts sucks. It's the nice way to put it. This guy is absolutely terrible. He had a great interception to touchdown ratio. What was it, like 19-2 heading into this game? It was a very impressive, but you can't throw 4 interceptions. No disrespect to your Chargers, but against a not stellar defense. You'd expect this maybe out of a Broncos defense or maybe a Packers defense. You wouldn't expect this out of a Chargers defense. All I got to say is Jalen Hurts is a bum. I genuinely think if you put half the starting quarterbacks in the league in his situation, they would be a lot more successful, and that's saying something because they won a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is a bum. End of story. Back over to you, Kolstin.
Now, there is one more game we do need to talk about in the NFL that already happened, that being Thursday night, and I think the shock. Technically, I did pick the Bucs already. I'm taking it away because you weren't there.
You picked. That is blasphemy.
Because then the thing is that we would not have the same amount of games.
Yeah, I would have picked Tampa.
So I think it's fair to take it away. The Kirk Cousins to Kyle Pitts connection cannot be understated. Obviously, Kyle Pitts is not here. He had the 3rd most fantasy points for a tight end ever. Kyle Pitts breakout. But the fact the Falcons won this game means that the Panthers are leading this division. This is a poverty of a division. I thought the Falcons would come in and win this division. Obviously, they're not. They can't even win it. But, I mean, the fact the Falcons can beat the Bucs shows I think this is a weak division.
You know who's the second biggest loser?
I was going to say about that. Obviously, the Falcons losing their first-round pick to the Rams for James Pierce, who has been on the up and up. He started terribly. Now he's had a sack, I think, every game since it's been 4 or 5 weeks. I forget. Something like that. But, I mean, he's on the up and rise. Doesn't matter. I think the Rams still win because the Falcons are 5-9. But it's a good win for Atlanta in a season that's not gone to plan. And Kyle Pitts is my fantasy legend. So he's gonna do this and go for 1.9 next week. So, we'll see what happens. You got anything to add? Or should I just Yep, Kyle Pitts. Back over to this. I'm going to be quick and sweet with it. I'm picking Chicago. I think this game will be a lot closer because Shador has now been top 5 in passing yards on the entire season for rookie quarterbacks. And he's played 3 games or 4 games. That is crazy to me. I think he's probably the best quarterback in this class so far. Sorry, Cam Ward. I know you have more yards, but, I mean, he just has not looked impressive. I was a big coming into Colorado, I was a big Shador hater. I wouldn't say I'm a lover, but I think I am rooting for Shador at this point. But we'll see. Does Aaden have an upset, or do the Bears go back on track and get to double-digit wins?
My lineage lies with the Green Bay Packers. As much as I hate to pick the Bears, I just feel like their run game is going to carry them too much. Don't get me wrong. Shador, perfect Sanders timing is absolutely going to carry the Browns to making this a close game, kind of like Kolstin said. But, God, the Browns are awful. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They lost to the Titans. That's bad. But we lost to this team. That's what makes it the worst part about all of this. But, give me Chicago to win in a low-scoring affair, and an affair that involves a lot of Kyle Monungai.
I would hope it's Kyle Magoose. I don't know, Mongoose, but because I have him in that running back only league. But obviously, I think Chicago gets to double-digit wins here. This is where I'm going to be changing my pick. I picked Baltimore. I'm going with Cincy. I think Cincy, obviously, they did beat Baltimore earlier this year. And I was thinking, Baltimore will get their revenge. I did not notice how good Joe Burrow's playing. He's been playing really well since his return. Disregard Joe Flacco. I think this team, if Cincy starts out hot, will beat Baltimore because their offense has been shaky at times, and their defense, although obviously not as bad as Cincy's because they're breaking records at being bad. So, but I think Baltimore, if they are not consistent on offense, you can see 413 points, the second closest Baltimore with 320, and they are a bad defense. It's like 27th to 32nd, so neither defense is good. I think it's going to come down to, can Cincy start out hot? If Cincy does not start out hot how they did last time they played Baltimore, I don't think they win this game. But that's going to be my one change based off of last week, unless there's something else I decide to change. But I give it to Cincy here to sweep, keep their season alive.
Yeah, this is going to be a very big game for both of these teams. I feel like if Pittsburgh wins this game and Baltimore loses, they're not out of it by any means, 7-7. But Pittsburgh's going to be 8-6. They're going to be 2 games up on them, heading into 3 weeks left into the season. As much as I'd really want Cincinnati to make the playoffs, I love Joe Burrow. I think he's a top 3 quarterback in the league, arguably. I just think that this run game, going back to the last matchup between these two, Derrick Henry touched the ball 7 times, I believe, in the second half. That is a joke. A joke. If they give the ball to Derrick Henry on this, dare I say, piss-poor defense, Derrick Henry could go for 300 yards. I genuinely, Derrick Henry, 500 yards in a game. No, I genuinely think he could go for 300 against this joke of a run defense. Give me the Ravens, and I think they're going to take it comfortably.
I will say I said somewhat of the same stuff the first time. I do think Baltimore, they are, favored. So, but I think there's more to play for Cincy. Obviously, we said that with the Bills, but I think Buffalo is better than Baltimore. So I feel like I'm justified in still picking Cincy. That's my one change. You're going to be absolutely shocked when I pick the Chargers 2 weeks in a row. Absolutely flabbergasted. But I think the Chiefs look like a mess. I said this last time. Obviously, Hampton and Herbert being back. Obviously, Herbert is questionable. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play against the Chiefs. But we're going for the sweep. KC is favored. What? But whatever. I think it's because they're in Arrowhead. I think if we were at home, we'd probably be favored. But obviously, this is outdated now, but they still have more points for, and we have more points against. So on paper, they are playing better, but I just think that the Chiefs, they're a dumpster fire right now. Their offense has been shaky. Their defense at times, if the blitz doesn't work, has been shaky. I don't think we win it comfortably because we can never win a game comfortably. But I think that we do win this one and get the series sweep on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Like you said, the Chiefs have been a dumpster fire. The Chargers coming off a very good, I'd say good win over the Eagles. But I just feel like Patrick Mahomes has never not started a season and not made the AFC Championship game, let alone the playoffs. I just think KC, this is a must-win. If they drop to 8 losses, they're not making the playoffs. I'm picking Kansas City at home. That place is going to need to be rocking. I think it will be. I think Mahomes is going to have a very big day, kind of bounce back against this Chargers defense who had a very impressive game against Jalen Hurts. I just think this is one of those games where Mahomes is going to do some crazy stuff, and he's going to pull out a win barely.
That's kind of what I'm thinking as well, because we saw how he played against Houston, who you did get right, by the way, and I did not. He was 12 for 26 and 4 picks or 3 or something. He was terrible. Mahomes was terrible. So I feel like he's going to need a bounce back, which is true. But I think Mahomes needs a bounce back. We're the type of team to get a bounce back on us. So, we'll see what happens. Buffalo and New England. This is the one Aaden was thinking about. He said pregame, who'd you pick between New England and Buffalo? No, absolutely not. I still think New England's a fraud. It's the same thing with Denver. I do think that this game, if Buffalo wins it big, I think New England gets bounced first round. If New England wins, I know I've said multiple times to Denver and New England, I said I have no reason to doubt them, and then I doubt them. But This one I might be for real because I think this is Buffalo's chance. There's the top seeds for most teams are inexperienced quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Drake May, who haven't had playoff experience. Obviously, Allen's had those chances. He's been to those championship games, and he hasn't been able to deliver. With no Mahomes, no Burrow, there should be no reason this team doesn't go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm not saying they will because despite being 9-4, they're not. They're definitely not locked in. I think they can definitely play better. But I think New England, if their defense does not show up, this team is not that impressive. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. This, technically, is for possibly the 1 seed and the division. If New England wins, they win the division no matter what. But we'll see. Does Aaden go with the Patriots? I stumbled on my words.
Josh Allen has won the MVP 2 years ago. Josh Allen, all this, all that. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a new sheriff in the AFC East, and his name is Drake May. This run defense is one of the best I've seen in a while. James Cook versus New England, I think that's going to be the key. These two right here, I mean, they don't have defensive players here, but New England Patriots defense versus James Cook. James Cook has looked like one of the best running backs. He's looked the most consistent with JT. I don't want to say he's fallen off because he's still the best rusher in the league, but James Cook is right on his tail in the rushing yards. Drake May is out passing Josh Allen. Who would have thought that heading into the season? This game's in New England. I think that's going to be important. I think this is going to be one of the biggest games for the Patriots in the past couple of years. And I hope you have your hats and T-shirts ready because the Patriots are winning the AFC East.
It's 2015 all over again. I will say, not to discredit the Patriots, but they have beaten one team that is above or the same as 500. The Bucs are the other one at 7-7 now. The only team they've beaten that is over 500 this year is the Buffalo Bills. So let's see if they can do it twice. Twice is nice when you do it twice. So we're going to see what happens here. Aiden's going to like this pick. I took Green Bay. I'm staying with Green Bay. I just said it with New England. I think Denver is not a great team if their offense does not get good early, because obviously, they're the comeback kings of this year. They've had so many games where they came back. The Giants one most notable. But you can tell, I think Love is still outplaying Nix by a good margin, despite, Love has had, obviously missed some passes. But I think he's a worse completion percentage. But I think Nix is just, he's become a little bit of the clutch guy. But at some point, in my personal opinion, the luck runs out. And I feel like this is going to be the game where, technically the luck runs out. But he's going to get to the playoffs, try to work off some wizardry. And you're not going to be playing the Giants or some bad team like Washington. Sorry, Jaden Daniels. But I think this is a game where Green Bay's defense is going to overwhelm Nix, and it's going to get them the victory.
You talk about the Giants. That's interesting. I think the key to this matchup is somebody who's possibly going to be the next head coach of the New York Giants, Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. Now, you got to keep in mind, Denver has won their last 10 at home. I saw a video. For the first time in NFL history, a team has won 10 straight games, won 10 straight games at home, and is not favored to win. This defense has looked absolutely amazing. You got Nick Bonito. You got Patrick Surtain. You got a bunch of superstars. You know who Green Bay has? Jordan Alexander Love. Toyota-thon Jordan Love. I think Green Bay is going to win this one. It's going to be a very good game. This is going to, I think, decide if the Packers not win the division, but I think this is going to decide whether they're going to be a 2 seed or, like a 3 or a 4 seed. I think Green Bay's right now, it's like a 50% chance of being the 2 seed. This is going to carry momentum. I think this win is going to carry us to the end of the season, in my personal opinion, because after this we have Chicago, Baltimore, and Minnesota. I think 2 of those are pretty safe wins. The other one's at Chicago. But, Green Bay's wearing their all-white jerseys. I know this doesn't mean anything. We're 4-0 in those all-white jerseys, all-white helmets. It's going to be a great game. This is going to be one I think you're going to remember all season. But the Pack is back. And they get above 10 wins for the 3rd straight year in a row.
I will say I did not mention this. I think that if Green Bay loses this game, I'm taking them out of the contender kind of area. I'm going to put Denver in. I think there's how I think it's Colin does the bubble thing. I think Green Bay's teetering out of the bubble and Denver's in the bubble. I think it goes the same way. If Denver loses, Green Bay goes in, Denver goes out. So I think that's more of an opinion-based thing. Aiden has something to say, so we're going to give it to him.
Colstin, I feel like you call both of these teams frauds at some point in the season. These two teams are fringe top 5 teams. I'd say they're both sneaking in the top 5, 3 or 4, 4 or 5, with Seattle, L.A., and New England. That was the team I was thinking of. But whoever wins this game has to be propelled into the top 3 because these two teams, late in the season, big showdown. Like I've said, just reinforcing how big of a game this is. Not only for Denver, because if they lose this game, New England wins. Well, I think New England is the 1 seed right now.
They are.
But still, that almost locks it up for them. Just back over to Kolstin.
I thought you were going to throw the mic. I'm not good at catching the mic, but that's just an important game. That's why we're so, focused on it. Here's, they played twice last year. I have them playing twice this year. I have them meeting in the playoffs. I'm giving it to Detroit. I think the Rams obviously are a fantastic team. They are my Super Bowl favorites right now. But Detroit needs this really bad. I would like to mention, by the way, Detroit is a game behind Chicago, 60 more points. Chicago is in the negative. Detroit is 90 above. And they're a game below. This is why also this is why I think Chicago is also kind of a fraud. Because if you're in the negative at 9-4, that proves to me you're not really winning big games. What comes back to me is that Baltimore-Chicago game in which they got blown out, and Baltimore's.
How about when these two teams played earlier?
I think, it's.
1-point win.
I think this is. I think obviously. I think Detroit early in the year was very shaky. I think they've gotten better as the seasons went on. That's why I think Detroit has a chance to win this game. Would I be shocked if the Rams win? Obviously not. I think they're my Super Bowl favorites right now. But the Lions need this a lot more. It's kind of the same thinking as the Cincy game. I think Cincy needs it a lot more, as in Detroit needs it a lot more. Now, do I think the Rams have a chance to blow out Detroit? Yes. I think it could go both ways, however, because Detroit's offense is just so good. You can tell they are, 60 above the closest team, and Green Bay is nowhere to be seen. So, the defense, obviously, I say a trash can. The Green Bay, obviously, the defense has been keeping them in games. But give me Detroit in an upset. I think this game will be a very good game. I think this will be better than the Denver game. So, obviously, so many great games this week. But
this is a this is a nice slate overall across the NFL.
Fox slate actually getting some good games.
Yes, the only reason, and I'm gonna give my pick right away. I'm gonna pick the Rams. The only reason, I guess this goes with the same logic last week, and I was way off on that. Detroit's corners are injured. Who's going to be guarding Puka Nacua, and who's going to be guarding Devontae Adams? Devontae's washed. He has the most touchdowns in the league. What do you mean? Why is this guy hosting? Hashtag host Aaden. Aaden host. But Stafford's looked like the MVP. 35-4 touchdown interception ratio. This is a must win for LA because if they lose, Seattle jumps them in the 1 seed. And the division, which LA if they lose this game and everything plays out like it should, LA would host. Or no, LA would go on the road at the Panthers. Blowout, but remember what happened last time. Carolina won. That would be a great game, obviously. I just think the Rams' offense is going to overwhelm this Lions' defense, who's been very injured.
Obviously, once again, we're having very contrasting opinions here so far, but we're going to keep it going in the NFL. The only reason this is on here is because of records. This game will not be close. I don't care if Phillip Rivers is now in the NFL. That man's 44. He takes one hit, he's going to go back to retirement. So, obviously, Daniel Jones, this is before he was out for the year. He's gone. So, the Colts. I had already the Colts missing the playoffs with Daniel Jones. Without Daniel Jones, JT better run for 3,000 in the last 5 weeks. So, I don't think this game's going to be close. I think Seattle wins it comfortably by 13+. Pretty simple pick here.
Now, Seattle's at home. Jonathan Taylor, great defense. Phillip Rivers. But there's one man. His name's Jonathan Taylor. Do you know Jonathan Taylor, Kolstin? Jonathan Taylor is an incredible football player, but football's a team sport. Seattle's going to win this one easily. I don't think – heck, if I'm going to be straight up honest, you know how, like, sometimes the games are so bad that they, like, switch the games halfway through to a closer game? I think this is going to be switched with the Green Bay game because both of these games are on CBS. I would not be shocked if the game gets switched off. It's going to be that bad of a blowout. Phillip Rivers is going to have about as many kids as he does completions this game. So, you know, that's nice for Phillip and his family. Congratulations on all the hard work, literally and figuratively. But, you know, give me Seattle pretty easily.
Yeah, I think if we both get this wrong, I will be shocked when we talk about this next week.
Predict sports again.
Yeah. Two playoff hopefuls face off here on Sunday night. Obviously a bit of a stretch for Minnesota, but they technically are a playoff hopeful. I think I'm just going to tell you right now, I think Dallas wins this game also pretty comfortably. The fact this is Sunday night is a joke, by the way, with all the games we have this week. But the fact that 9 is not the top passer for Minnesota shows why Minnesota is not winning this game. Carson Wentz has been out for, I think it's 6 or 7 weeks. But I think that even if Carson Wentz was the starting quarterback, which I believe he would if, you know, he was healthy, I think he would start over 9. But I think this game will not be close. I think Dallas's offense is, as much as Brian Flores is a great defensive coordinator, I think the offense for Dallas is too much for Minnesota's defense. We've seen it all year. Plus, CeeDee Lamb, who's in concussion protocol, is slated to play. So that's not any help for Minnesota. Give me Dallas by good amount, 10+.
Yeah, like Kolstin said, Dallas is going to win this game by 20. It's a joke that the NFL didn't flex the Rams game to this. I don't understand why. 9 is going to have 9 turnovers in this game. Dallas's defense is actually going to show up for once. And, you know, give me the Cowboys pretty easily.
One more game, Monday night. I got some slack for this from you specifically. I'm taking Miami. I think that Miami is on a hot streak right now of games. I think Pittsburgh is still an iffy team. I don't think Rodgers looks impressive. Obviously, the key to this game is Tua not to throw a pick because he is like tied the most in the league or the most. I'm not exactly sure. But 14 picks is not exactly what you want on your stat line. So maybe they need to start Zach Wilson. Maybe that's what they need. But I think Miami, they have a less than 1% chance to make the playoffs. Obviously, I think they're really just playing for fun, for funsies. But I think they can definitely beat Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh has looked like a joke, even though they are winning the division. This entire division for the AFC North is in the negative in terms of points. The top team is -3. So I think this game will be close. I think probably the Rams game should be Monday night and the Packers game should be Sunday night. That's just my take on it. But the fact this is Monday night is atrocious considering the games we have. But give me Miami by 3. I think this is backwards right here.
Yeah, see, I feel like Kolstin doesn't know this. Tua is hot ass whenever it comes to playing in cold weather conditions. He has an 18-14 touchdown interception ratio already. That's barely starting. I don't know how it is. It's going to be like 10 degrees at kickoff. It's as simple as Pittsburgh. This is going to be like, you know, one of those games that you're going to see on YouTube in 10 years, like top 10 worst games in NFL history. This is a joke of a game, and the fact that it's a standalone game is what makes it even worse. Miami 6-7, Pittsburgh 7-6. You know, we have a 10-3 and 8-5 matchup. 10-3, 8-5 matchup. That isn't even a standalone game. It's a joke. Both of these teams suck. None of them should be in the playoffs, but unfortunately, Pittsburgh's probably going to make it.
Pittsburgh, the classic 9-8 wild card berth and bounced out first round. Classic Pittsburgh. But we're done with the NFL, but we go straight to picking because I already talked about the NBA. I think the Pacers have a chance to upset. But why would I pick the Pacers without Halliburton? As you can see, half the team's out, so you know that doesn't help. Siakam is playing a one-man show, and he's not shooting that well. So, plus he's not that good at the free throw line. 68%, not very good. I think Maxey obviously has been one of the best players in the league. 31 points per game. He's great at the free throw line. Obviously, it's a bit low compared to past years. But he's shooting so much that his percentage is down. Look at all the arrows. But I think the Sixers win this one pretty comfortably in a pretty safe pick here for the NBA.
Yeah, the piss-ass Pacers are a joke of a team. Sixers are going to win by 30+. There's no other way to put it. A healthy Sixers team going up against Pascal Siakam and the Mario Brother Warriors. They're a bunch of nobodies. Pacers should start tanking. Can't believe I was saying that about a finals team a year ago.
I really wish Hallie won that finals game, by the way. That's really sad. But first game between these two teams, they play January 19th next. Sixers and Hawks. I did talk about you with this game. I think it was on Monday. I'm taking the Sixers. I think Atlanta, obviously, they're coming off, the double OT game in which we scored nothing in double OT in a loss by 8. I think that we're a better team, potential-wise, to win a game than the Hawks. I think the Hawks are more safe. They have a better floor. We have a better ceiling. If we start out hot and we don't blow the third quarter, I think we can win this game. I just think it comes down to stopping this man right here, Jalen Johnson. Not Jalen Johnson. I forget the J, but Johnson. I think if you stop him, we can win because he's shooting above 50%, which is ridiculous for, the top player on your team. Oubre, it says he's out. I think he should be able to return. Yeah, this is for the 12th. So he should be able to return. That's a big help. I think this game obviously will be close. You saw it last time, but give me the Sixers here, taking it in Atlanta.
Is Trae Young playing this game?
I believe so.
Trae Young's playing? Give me the Hawks. That's it. I think Trae Young's going to be a real game wrecker. You can't see him on here because he's been hurt. Jalen Johnson, he won. Did he win Defensive Player of the Year? Or am I thinking of somebody else on the Hawks? Somebody on Atlanta won the Defensive Player of the Year last year. Draymond won DPOY last year. Somebody in Atlanta was in Defensive Player of the Year condition. They have a great defense. Long story short, there, Kolstin, you happy? I just think if you take the Hawks to double overtime without Trae Young, what are you going to do with Trae Young? Lose in 0 overtimes.
You're not funny. But I think, differing opinions. It happens. We get to talk about the NHL.
Joke of a team. Joke.
Aiden has some strong feelings. I think that once we get to OT, we just choke. Choke and joke rhyme. Anyway, I think the Ducks are not very good of a team. I think we are a better team than the Ducks still. But, it happens. We lose. But not much to talk about. We went to OT. We couldn't finish an OT. We went to a shootout. Couldn't finish a shootout. It's just what the Penguins do. The Flyers had no problem with the Sharks. I think the Sharks are worse than the Ducks. Let's get something very straight here. But, it happens. You play a bad team, you're probably going to beat them. Flyers win. Penguins then did nothing for 2 periods, basically. They just could not shoot for some reason in this game. They just didn't want to try and shoot. So usually when you play hockey, you're supposed to, shoot on goal. But they just didn't want to do that, I guess. I think the Canadians, from seeing this, are better than the Penguins. I don't think by much. I think the Penguins on a good night can beat the Canadians on a good night. So, but, you let up 4 goals to the Canadians, a defensive team. It's not a very good look. So, but there is, some good news. The Flyers lost. So, obviously, this one went to OT. I think the Golden Knights are true natty contenders because their offense is freaking ridiculous. But they go to OT. Obviously, the offense did not show in the third period. But they go to OT, and I believe they scored in the first minute of OT, and they just rushed the goalie. That's all they did. But I think the Golden Knights, I almost said Golden State. I did the same thing on Monday. I said the same thing on Monday. I almost said Golden State. But they're always on the mind. But I think the Golden Knights truly have a chance to win it all. They kind of remind me of the LA Rams. I don't know why. I don't think they're probably. But I don't think, obviously, they're their favorite to win it all. I think they are in the top maybe 3, definitely 5. So there is, one thing we do need to talk about, though. This isn't concerning a game. Jari got traded. I never thought I'd see the day. I think this trade, there's a lot of people that are saying Pittsburgh got scammed. Completely disagree. I don't think we won this trade per se. It's going to come down to who plays better. But Edmonton obviously going for a ring, Jari going for a ring because they're both old. But I think Pittsburgh, in the long run will probably win because Skinner obviously is a guard. I'm always thinking about the NBA. But I think he's a goalie who's a lot more consistent than Jari, but Jari has better nights. So I don't think the forward I don't think that matters. But I think it comes down to Edmonton wants to win now. Pittsburgh's playing for the future. I think it's a fair trade. I think in the long run Pittsburgh wins. Short term, the Oilers win.
Bravo, Pittsburgh! You got rid of the ball.
Yeah, I think Aaden has strong feelings for Jari. I don't hate Jari as much. I don't think he's a good player. Let's get that straight. But, considering the goaltending Pittsburgh's had over the past couple weeks, which has been, besides the Canadians, pretty solid, I think this is a good trade for them, definitely, because they want to focus on the young players rather than an old Jari who's a joke, according to Aaden. But speaking of the Penguins, we're going to go on to the next game. I'm picking the Penguins because look at this score. They were in San Jose, and it wasn't close. I think San Jose is just not a very good team. It comes down to if Macalin wants to play. I don't know why I wrote an E. But I think it comes down to if he wants to play. Obviously, this is inaccurate because Jari is gone, so I don't know who's going to be goaltending. But I think the Penguins win this pretty easily. I don't think the Sharks are a very good team. Aiden, you got anything to add? You want to come up here and predict because you're just sitting on your phone?
I got a text. The Sharks are a joke. Penguins are a joke. Tristan Jarry's a joke. My apologies. He's stupid. I don't like the guy. He allowed 8 goals a night, it felt like. He's 9-2-1, but, it looks like he's 9-22-1 half the time. The Sharks suck. Their goalies suck. Pittsburgh by 1 billion. You know what? I'm continuing my rant. What's the next one? Nobody cares about the Flyers. We're going to the Penguins. Give me the Penguins again. The Penguins are getting on a hot streak, okay? I'm tired of this team losing. They were so good at the start of the year. And what have they done now? Nothing. They need to pull their head out of their ass. There, you can pick your stupid Hurricanes, by the way. Continue.
I'm going to do my picks now. Sorry. These two teams already played. It was a great game, Hurricanes, Flyers. You will see they play back-to-back, and I'm writing E's and 8s. I don't know what's going on with me today. I think this one the Flyers do get. You'll see I switched the vote. I give the Hurricanes in at home. So I think both games will be close. There's a chance both teams win both or lose both. I think these two teams are very close in comparison. I think they play roughly the same. I do think the Hurricanes' goalie tending is, not goalie tending. You get my point. I think he's not great, but I think the Flyers, obviously, they just have those off nights against, usually pretty solid teams like the Hurricanes. But, we'll see. Obviously, Aiden picked, the next game, so I'll just show you it. The Mammoth, despite starting to exist this year, have not looked terrible. Obviously, they're 14 and 13, so they're not like the greatest team of all time. But I'm still taking the Penguins. I think, the Mammoth are a brand new team, brand new players. They just need to get used to, the atmosphere of the NHL.
Hold on. May I point something out? This is just completely random. Sorry, I'm hijacking the show, I feel like. The Penguins have played 12 home games. The Mammoth have lost 10 on the road. The poor Mammoths. I don't mind the Mammoths. I actually kind of like the Mammoths. That new team, yay. But, poor Mammoths. Get them some home games.
Anyway, as I was saying, I think they do have, a good home stretch. But these two teams play twice in the next 3 months, and then they don't play again because, they're not rivals or anything. But I think the Penguins win this, especially at home, pretty comfortably. Jari's gone. I don't know. I don't know who's goaltending this, but, we'll, talk about it. Do you want to predict this one, or do you want to just tell me? I'll start. I said this earlier. Give me the Hurricanes at home. I think just the home teams win both. They split both. I think both teams play roughly the same. I don't need to rant on and on. You heard me the first time. Give me the Hurricanes. They split the 2-game series in 2 days.
Yeah, the Flyers suck. No other way to put it. Pittsburgh owns you guys if you're a Flyers fan. All 3 Flyers fans. Yeah, I really like the Hurricanes because they play the Flyers. Valder, that guy sucks. Yeah, if Bussy If Bussy starts this game, I think they'll win it pretty easily. And I'm not just saying that because of his name. He's 8-1 on the season. You child, Kolstin. Give me the Hurricanes one. Because
That's his name. You're so stupid. Anyway, we're going to go on to college basketball. This is the only game that we saw besides one other one that was pretty sad. You'll know it when. No. Yeah, it's that one. But Florida and Kentucky, I think, are the same exact team. I'm not going to lie. They're both 5-4. Both should not be ranked. Yeah, I said Kentucky, did I not? No. UConn is a good school. UConn is a good team. They're a natty contender. But, it's Florida. I mean, Florida and Kentucky game would be really good because they're both not that good. They're both not that good. Anyway, not much to contribute. I think Kentucky is on the mind. I think UConn had this control of this game the entire time, despite Florida trying to come back. They won it by 4. We get to next week in college basketball. There's going to be a lot of college basketball, I believe. But, obviously, these two teams, I had a dilemma literally live. I was just like, who should I pick? I'll just let you know right now. I looked at Texas Tech's schedule. They've played nobody. Literally nobody. I think both teams are coming off the exact same score and win. So that's kind of neat. But I think Arkansas, it's going to come down to, because both these teams shoot like a bazillion threes a game. I think it's going to come down to who's a better three-shooting team. Usually it is the SEC school. Sometimes I might be wrong. Maybe Texas Tech comes out here and they win it by 30. But I think Arkansas, they've played a tougher schedule. I think they get this one in a battle of, winning streaks 2 and 3.
yeah, Kolstin, I don't follow college basketball as much as you do. I'm going to pick the Red Raiders because I think they're going to win it all in college football, and that's going to give them momentum. That's my only reasoning behind this pick. I don't know these two teams very well. I'm not as big of a college basketball advocate as you are. But give me the Red Raiders from Texas Tech. We're going to the next game. I'm hijacking the show. Indiana, they killed Penn State. Not that Penn State's a good team like Kolstin was talking about. Kentucky, they're a joke. They're 5-4. How are they ranked? Indiana's looked amazing. 85 points per game. They're allowing 63. Shooting well. They're getting out-rebounded by Kentucky. That might be important. But, give me the Hoosiers from Indiana.
Now, this record is not accurate because this is coming before they played Penn State, so they are 8-2 now. They had lost 2 straight heading into the Penn State game in which they won. I think, obviously, Indiana got a great win, but give me Kentucky. They need a bounce back really, really bad. I think on paper, Kentucky is at least a 5 times better team than Indiana because Indiana plays some great defense, but I think the shooting that they had against Penn State will not be replicated again unless they play Penn State again. So, obviously, Kentucky, they've lost 2 straight. I believe they don't play anyone before this game, so they're going to keep that 2-game losing streak. They're looking for a fight because they keep playing teams that are ranked. I don't know why teams do that. They just play. You'll see it later. Bama plays Arizona for another ranked game for them. They just love ranked games. But Kentucky needs a win really bad. They're 5-1 at home. I think they get it against the Hoosiers. Speaking of Bama and Arizona, I think it's going to come down to, can Bama start out hot? But Arizona, you just can't bet against them right now. I think this is easily the best team in college basketball right now. We're going to talk about Purdue. No, we're not actually going to talk about Purdue. But they're frauds. I was right. They lost it. Iowa State in a joke of a game. So they're still number 1. Trust me, they will fall. But I think Arizona is the best team in college basketball right now. And until proven otherwise, maybe against this Bama team, I think they definitely have a chance to beat Arizona, especially at home. It's just going to come down to, can Bama start out hot? And we'll see if that happens. I don't know why Bama is just always picking these tough games. I mean, good for them because they get more, prime time. But, we'll see. Can Bama take down, and me personally, the best team in the nation?
Alabama's averaging 95 points heading into this game. That is absolutely diabolical, by the way.
It's the most in the entirety of college basketball.
Most in the entirety of college basketball, but they're also allowing 80 a game compared to Arizona 67. 6-7. Oh, my God, I'm hilarious. Arizona. Simple as that. I mean, Pete's looked great. He's shooting well from the line. He's shooting well from the field. Arizona, I think this is going to be a rough environment, but I think they will be able to overcome the Crimson Tide. And like Kolstin said, this is one of, if not the best team in college basketball. And let's not go to our next game, as I'm an idiot pointing with a marker. Okay, I'm going to talk about this game because I wanted to talk about this game. Penn State's a joke. They shouldn't even be allowed in the Big Ten tournament. They're that bad. Yeah, good for Caden Mingo. Good. Too bad your brother's going to Baylor. 58-26 in the first half. Joke. Penn State as a team, joke. Our 2 losses are against the only 2 teams that we've played that are actually good. This is worse than the San Jose Sharks loss Boise State had. Player on Indiana had 45 points. You don't include him, it's still a very close game. Kolstin, do you have anything to say about this game?
I do have something to say about this game, and it's not so good of a statistic. This is the biggest deficit through one half at the Bryce Jordan Center ever. Oh, well, you get my point. It's the most the Indiana's had a lead out of the first half against a Big Ten opponent ever, which is
Not shocking because
yeah, that's certainly something. I'm glad Penn State decided to try in the second half. I think, yeah, they still got outscored by 9. Yeah, I think Aaden said it perfectly. I think they just suck. Josh Reed still is terrible. Anyway, we're gonna go to the next slide. Yeah. Michigan State by 200. This game's not gonna be close. I don't care that they lost to Duke. If Duke played Penn State, you might want to just not watch the game. I think that'd be your best course of action. I don't care that Penn State's at home. I don't care that they beat them a couple of years ago. Maybe it was last year. This game will not be close. Michigan State's going to be up 50 at halftime. So, yeah, they're going to bully them in the – I don't – we know what's going to happen. I'm sorry, Penn State. If you win this game, biggest shock since 9/11. So –
I don't think you could say that on YouTube. But, Michigan State, they're coming off a loss against Duke. Penn State beat Camden. Whoop-de-doo. Give me the Spartans by about 400 if possible. In all honesty, I'd be happy if Penn State scores 65 in this game. Michigan State's allowing 61, and they play Duke. And Penn State is on a different level from Duke in a bad way. Penn State's a joke. They should withdraw their basketball team and become a club team at this point. They're that bad. Next game, Boise State won. Yip-de-doo-da-day. Kolstin, you're the Boise guy.
The odds on this game were 85-15. I said that obviously it should have been less. It should have been 95-5. There's a reason why this isn't the Dukes and not Duke. This team sucks. Anyway, there's not much to say. Yeah, we were up 15 at half, and then I turned it off and went to bed because, we were up by 22. Anyway, or by 15, excuse me. But we go to the final slide. It's Boise State and St. Mary. Obviously, we did beat Butler earlier in the year. You get to see. That was a shock. I did pick Butler to win that game. We both did. We both got that wrong. So, good for me. I'm going against Boise again. I don't think this game's going to be necessarily close. I'm reciting everything I said about the Butler game. I'm getting deja vu. But I think St. Mary is a better team than Butler. They play in Gonzaga's, conference, which is a good basketball conference. So I think that's all you need to know. I think Boise, they're actually, in terms of expectations, I think they're subverting my expectations. We should have beat USC. I'm still mad about that. But they're a semi-good offensive team. It's going to come down to, can Boise have some good defense? So we'll see. Boise at home, can they upset St. Mary?
Boise State's at home. They're coming off a great win against Butler. They've looked hot. They've won their last 2 games. St. Mary's, there's one loss, came 2 games ago. But whenever your leading point scorer, it looks like he belongs on a farm out in the middle of Nebraska. I'm not picking your team. Give me St. Mary. But that is a long neck. Holy.
Davis Mills all over again.
This guy, take a 23andMe test, buddy. You might be related to an NFL quarterback. Give me St. Mary's. That's my expert predictions. Kolstin, wrap us up.
I think, obviously, the only reason this, episode technically exists is because Aaden wanted to pick it. I'll be sure to, have you involved because I feel like I don't want to do this again. But that's going to do it. There isn't really an outro for this because episode 7's coming soon. It's going to come. but the Packers did win, so good for you. I'm just glad the Chargers won. Let's hope we can. If we do that 2 weeks in a row, we're going to the Super Bowl. Anyway, that's going to do it. Episode 6.7. I got to hold the mic as I do this. 6.7 coming to an end. But that'll do it. I don't really have anything to add. So, see ya.